One of our men instantly fired off 2 shots. This time, when they checked through the night vision, there was no heat signature. They were baffled. How could that be? A moving, living thing, but with no thermal signature. What the hell is that thing?
I'm going to tell you a rather detailed and very interesting incident. This story is connected to Afghanistan, but it actually began in Tampa, Florida some time ago. I had gone to Tampa for work for my job, but I also run a side business. The head of the marketing agency for that business also happens to live there. He said, "Come on, let's meet up. I'll show you around Tampa, we'll eat, drink, and have some fun." I agreed. Now, this guy is an ex-US military special forces, a white man who has served in both Afghanistan and Iraq. Near Tampa, there's an area called Ybor City. It's full of restaurants, pubs, and all sorts of food places. He suggested we go there, walk around, see the sights, and I said sure. That day, it was raining in Tampa, unexpectedly. I had flown in from the East Coast, and in Florida, we don't really expect cold weather, but apparently Tampa does get cold. We were walking along the sidewalk when suddenly I felt a slight jolt, just a light push. On the ground, there was a semicircle made out of very smooth river stones, the kind you find in a riverbed. Inside that semicircle was a chicken bone, chewed clean, with threads wrapped around it.
I stopped and looked down at it. He noticed me pausing, turned back and said, "What happened?" I said, "Man, look, what is this?" He glanced at it once and said, "That's voodoo." I said, "What?" He repeated, "That's voodoo. Don't step on it. Walk around it from the side." I said, "Okay." By then I was a bit distracted. We were both soaked from the rain, but we kept walking. Eventually we reached the restaurant, an Italian place really nice, and went upstairs to the 2nd floor. He specifically chose a spot near the fireplace so we could dry ourselves off and warm up. While sitting there, I asked him, "You're a white guy. Do you actually believe in these kinds of things?" He said, "Yes." I asked, "Was there something that happened to you that made you start believing in them?" He said, "Yeah. Back in 2004, I was on a tour of duty in Afghanistan. I can't name the exact area, but let's just say it was on the eastern side, near the Pakistan border, maybe 500 kilometers away from it." He continued, "There was an old hidden base of ours, which at the time was unmanned. Our command told us to go and activate the base because in war it is very important to keep the sentiments of your allies on your side. You never want them to turn against you. The locals there, their feelings in terms of sentiment were not very pro-American. So we were told, go there, meet them, keep them happy. Give them security, make sure they're talking to us, mixing with us, and if there are any threats there, eliminate them." This guy worked in global logistics. Whenever the military needed to move forces or weapons anywhere in the world, he was the one responsible for making it happen. For this mission, they put together a small team, 6 people in total. The colonel, the senior officer, was in command, and they added another 6 or 7 personnel to join him. The order was simple. All right, let's get to the base. Early in the morning, they flew out by helicopter, arriving near the base around midday. They landed, offloaded their equipment, unpacked it, and went inside to start their assigned tasks. They also spoke with a couple of local contacts, invited them over, got some cleaning done, the usual preparation. Then they brought the control rooms online. Most of the day was spent setting everything up. Now, about the base itself, it's a standard 4-wall compound. On top of each wall sits a guard post manned by a soldier covering that side's flank, weapons at the ready. Cameras are installed everywhere so that everything is captured on record in case of any engagement. Just beyond one side of the base, maybe 2 yards out, lay a vast, weathered old cemetery.
Past that, a little farther on, sat a small village, and beyond that, 1 or 2 more scattered settlements. Altogether, 3 or 4 villages formed a cluster, and right beside them stretched this ancient, sprawling graveyard. That night, the routine was as usual. Most of the men had turned in. 1 person sat in the control room, watching the camera feeds. 4 others were stationed at their posts. 2 were assigned to make rounds inside the compound every 30 minutes or so, just to be sure all was quiet. Around 12:30 or 1 a.m., the guard in the tower facing the cemetery radioed in an alert. "Something's moving between the graves. I need night vision. I don't have any up here." My friend happened to be one of the 2 on patrol, so he went inside, grabbed a set of night vision goggles, and climbed the tower to deliver them. "Where exactly do you see it?" he asked. "Roughly 100 yards out," the guard replied. "Something's running between the headstones, but the grave markers keep blocking my view so I can't get a clear look."
At first, they figured it might be a dog or something along those lines, but in terrain like this, dry, barren, almost desert-like, that's unusual. Animals don't last long here. There's no food, no water. The guard stayed in the tower for a while before climbing down. Roughly 10 minutes later, another alert came through. Whatever it was running again. This time, when they checked through the night vision, there was no heat signature. On thermal imaging, it didn't glow red, it stayed blue. Yet it was moving. They were baffled. How could that be? A moving, living thing, but with no thermal signature. From the control room, they swung the cameras toward that section and began tracking it. Something was darting back and forth, right to left, then left to right, and it was fast. According to protocol, they woke the colonel and explained the situation. He decided they'd check it out immediately. If it's dangerous, we deal with it. If it's an animal, we scare it off. Either way, make sure the area is clear, he said. At this hour, there was no chance a villager would be wandering around out here. "All right," he said at last, "let's move."
So, me and the other guy who was inside teamed up. We readied our weapons, and another man was called down from his watchtower. Now there were 3 of us on the ground. We stepped out of the compound slowly and moved up to the wall facing the graveyard. 1 man stayed in the tower, watching from above. From where we stood, we could see the narrow paths running between the rows of graves. We spread out, each taking a separate path, keeping a gap of 1 or 2 graves between us as we moved forward. Night vision on, weapons ready, we advanced. Not far in, all 3 of us suddenly spotted movement, something darting between 2 graves. One of our men instantly fired off 2 shots. From behind us, the colonel's voice cut through the dark, sharp and angry. "No shooting until you've confirmed the target. We're not here to tell the whole world we're in a firefight at night." Out here, gunfire could carry for miles, and in the still, pitch-black night, it was deafening.
Now we were all on edge. What could move like that? The order came. Keep moving forward. We advanced slowly, step by step, eyes sweeping every shadow. 10 minutes passed. Nothing. Eventually, we found ourselves standing right in the middle of the graveyard. Our breathing was heavy now, partly from the walk, partly from the tension, and then, out of nowhere, a faint, soft laugh drifted from behind us. We spun around instantly. My blood turned to ice. About 10 yards away, above the line of headstones, stood a tall black figure, a hooded silhouette. The way it looked, if you've ever seen the Harry Potter films, it was like a Dementor. No face, no features, just a dark, shapeless, hooded form. The sound of that laugh was coming from it, and even though the air was completely still, the black cloak-like covering it wore seemed to ripple as if caught in the strong wind. One of our men shouted, "What the hell is that thing?" I tried to steady myself to get my bearings, but remember, where that figure stood, we couldn't just open fire. Behind it was our own perimeter wall, and one of our men was stationed there. Before I could fully collect myself, before I could even decide whether to fire, that thing just stood there in front of us, perfectly still. We were trying to process what we were looking at. Our body cameras were streaming live to the control room, and over the comms, someone asked, "What the hell is that?" I told them check the feed. They did, and said, "Yeah," and now it's gone.
The guy in the control room said, "I'm getting the colonel." He ran off. And then, that laugh again. This time, it came from directly behind us. We turned, and now there were two of them, two hooded figures. This time, instinct took over. We opened fire because what else could we do? Weapons were all we had. Were we supposed to talk to them? In the dark, each muzzle flash exploded into a burst of orange light, lighting up the night for a split second at a time. And in those moments, we could see it clearly. The rounds were passing straight through them. They didn't move. They didn't fall. They just stood there, laughing. And then, just like before, they were gone.
Still, the colonel hadn't arrived. And then, for the third time, that same laughter. This time from our left. We turned. Now there were four of them. Tall, massive, hooded shapes. Laughing. And as they laughed, they started moving toward us. And by moving, I don't mean walking. Imagine something floating 6 feet off the ground, gliding toward you like gravity didn't apply, drifting the way something moves underwater. That was it. We broke. No thinking, no aiming, we just ran. "Bullets aren't stopping this," I shouted. "We don't even know what it is." We kept running, breath ragged, weapons still in hand. Then, from the direction of the village, we saw movement. People waving white flags in our direction. At the front was an old man, moving quickly, motioning for us to stop. We skidded to a halt. I called out to my team, "Hold up! Hold up!" Here, elders are called Haji out of respect. This Haji came right up to us, shook our hands one by one, looked each of us in the eye, and asked, "What are you doing here?" I told him, "We saw something. At first it was just movement between the graves. Then one figure, then two, then four. That's why we came in armed." He nodded slowly and said, "We heard the gunfire. That's why we came, to see what was happening. The sound came from your direction, so we suspected trouble." We had gone to speak with the villagers, but Haji himself hadn't been there earlier. Now he said, "Listen, son, this is an old graveyard. Things happen here. You'll see strange things, but there's no need to fear them and no need to react. We live with these things. You should never have entered the graveyard. You should have stayed outside." As he spoke, he suddenly pointed, and there it was again. The same figure, and with it one or two more. Our team of three stood on one side, when from our left, that laughter returned. Two hooded shapes, 20 or 30 yards away, watching us, laughing. Haji turned sharply toward them and ordered, "No firing, no one fires, stay right here." Then, in Arabic, he began reciting something, likely verses from the Quran. He bent down, scooped a handful of soil from the path, and kept reciting as the figures drifted closer. They stopped as Haji moved forward, still laughing in that strange, hollow way. Then he blew over the dirt in his hand and flung it toward them. The moment it struck, bright orange flames erupted across their forms, as if someone had doused them in fire. The laughter stopped, replaced by an eerie, inhuman wail, and then they were gone, disappeared right before our eyes. Haji turned to us, completely composed. "I've driven them away for now," he said, "but they will return. Come, I'll walk you back to your base. There's no point in chasing them or trying to investigate. You'll see them again. And we hear them too, but we ignore them. We never pass through this place at night, and even in daylight we avoid the graveyard." And so this elderly man, dressed simply, unarmed, took the lead, guiding us back to safety. He walked with us all the way to the gate where my colonel was waiting, listening carefully. The colonel thanked him and offered food and drink, but Haji shook his head. "No, sir, it's fine. We must reach our village quickly. That way we'll be safe."
Then he and his companions turned back toward the darkness. Only then did the pressure in our chests ease. Later that same night, we saw movement again among the graves, shadows slipping between the headstones, but we left them alone. And in the time we stayed there, every couple of nights, something would stir in that graveyard, but nothing ever crossed into our compound. Nothing ever tried to harm us. In Afghanistan, every soldier I've met who served here has said the same thing. At some point during their tour, they've experienced something they can't explain. Whether it's a strange ritual or something supernatural, everyone sees it at least once.